In the early days of basketball, they had to put nets up. No joke. They had to put nets up in the early days of professional basketball. Why? Well, they also had cages put around it. They put fences around it because basketball originally started out pretty violent. And, even in today's NBA, there are times that people get a little physical. But the WNBA seems to be trying to top that. We just had Jade Melbourne lose a tooth, well, half a tooth, because of an elbow to her mouth. Sophie Cunningham, earlier in the month, lost part of a tooth because of a Cunningham collided face first with J.C. Sheldon in a play that left her dazed and down on the floor. Just the other day, Phoenix Mercury guard Lexi Held. Now, she was going for the ball, and I doubt that Brianna Stewart was paying attention, and I don't think that she even did anything too much to cause it, but this led to Held having a collapsed lung. Well, a partially collapsed lung. There comes a point where too much violence, such as several things that have happened with the Chicago Sky, with other teams, we're not watching basketball to watch the MMA or watching for WWE moves. No, we're watching because we want to see people play a game. This is not what we're signing up to watch, and it's making it unwatchable, which actually is playing into the owner's hands for the players if the players continue to act like this. Well, let's talk about this a little bit here.
Hey folks, this is Paul with Redneck Sports. I want to thank you for viewing my video, and I want to give you one thought process. There was a famous coach at University of Tennessee by the name of General Robert Nealon. He had 6 maxims, but number 2 maxim is what everybody should apply to their life. Play for and make the breaks. When one comes your way, score. That's how to live your life right there.
For any league of sport to actually get a good following, well, for that matter, in any form of entertainment, for it to get a good following, you've got to address the casuals. You've got to get those people who are not going to follow it 24/7. No joke. You've got to get those people involved that are not normally going to get involved. College football has all kinds of casuals watching it. They only watch during the season. They don't care about all the recruiting, transfer portal, all that. They might get a little annoyed when they hear about some of these players making $2-3 million, but they're still watching the game. WNBA has a problem where for literally a couple of decades, they haven't really been a sport for the casuals. These folks have played a little too rough. They have spouted a little too much politics. And someone who epitomizes Jordan's Republicans buy shoes too mentality, Caitlin Clark, comes into the league and has got a fresh group of eyes on the league. And so, in a season in which the players association and the owners are trying to work out a CBA, you've got a season in which stupidity is happening. You've got a whole bunch of stupidity happening. You've got a continued amount of referees and officials who aren't doing their jobs. You've got a continued amount of violence in the sport. All of this is making it unwatchable. And this is playing into the owner's hands because they can go, hey, look, nobody's really wanting to watch you. The few people that are wanting to watch you are not continuing to watch after a while So why should we pay you money? Hey, that's a novel idea right there. Keeping the game in such a state during negotiations is helping the people who would benefit the most from allowing this to happen. The players should realize this, but it don't seem like they do. Kelsey Plum's out there saying, "Oh, we're wanting to get paid, the same kind of percentages that the men are." Well, they're getting paid off a percentage of profit. Right now, the WNBA is not making a profit, so they should be working even harder to make it a profitable endeavor, but they're not. The players are playing into the hands of the owners by knocking teeth out, by getting into scuffles, by yanking hair. DJ Carrington, I can't say it enough. There's been so many times that this woman has basically decided she's going to be the next Jade Cargill. And if you don't know who that is, it's a professional women's wrestler that started out on AEW and I think is with WWE now. I don't know. I don't keep up with wrestling all that much. But seriously, this is not a good look. And maybe it is to help that, but it's causing the casuals, such as myself, not to want to always turn on the game. Now, next few days, I'm planning on watching a few games, but I can't get into it. I really can't. Not if you're going to fight. You know, there's basic skills that should be taught, and one of them is you don't put an elbow in somebody's face, you don't get into scuffles, and you don't constantly have these situations where players are getting injured in the way that they're getting injured because you can't hold your temper during a game. I can understand emotions. Don't get me wrong. I can understand emotions and competitiveness, but this goes beyond that. And we need to end that now. I love competitive players. I really do. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell. I have taken the time to go find old Celtics games just to watch Bill Russell or get a chance to watch Wilt Chamberlain or Jerry West or John Havlicek or Dr. J. All those games that I missed because I wasn't even born yet. I love old basketball. Growing up, getting to watch the Lady Balls do the things that I got to watch them do. But do you see the fights in college women's basketball? No. Why? Because these coaches, these refs, all of them know why you should not do that. But these players can't seem to figure out that, hey, maybe we're doing bad things during a negotiation period. Do you think the owners are caring right now what the numbers are on the views? They're not. You want to know why they're not? Because the lower the views, the better stance they have during the negotiations. And the players are just sitting there playing right into their hands. We don't need nets going up for a women's game. We don't need to have fights going happening. We don't need to have people getting thrown to the floor. We don't need teeth getting knocked out. No, we need some good old basketball games. That's it. We need periods of time that there's scoring going on. We need great defensive moves. I want when Cameron Brink finally comes back to the Sparks. I want to see that. I want to cover her games. She is my favorite player on my favorite team right now. That is what I'm waiting on. I like watching Caitlin Clark. Kind of like watching Paige Beckers. I like Haley Van Lith. Not so much on Angel Reese. I like Aaliyah Boston. I like all of these players. I really do. I want to see like this young lady that just came over from France. I can't pronounce her name correctly, but I like seeing her, especially after watching her during the Olympics. What I don't want to see as someone who's kind of a casual, because I'm not going to watch Unrivaled unless there's nothing else on. But unfortunately, they put Unrivaled right in the middle of football season and college basketball season and NBA. Unrivaled is not at the best of places. So I have the WNBA season that's in the summertime when there's nothing else really on because I don't watch ba- baseball anymore. I don't watch baseball. It, I know some people adore that sport, and I have watched it on occasion. Matter of fact, I'm even old enough to remember when the earthquake game happened. They were getting ready for, I think it was a World Series game when an earthquake happened. I actually had that game turned on and saw when it got literally turned off. But I like that I can watch WNBA during the summer. And I'm not going to keep watching it. And I'm sure there's many others that agree with me that I'm not going to keep watching it if all I'm seeing is WWE mixed in with the basketball. Just because you start out with the W doesn't mean that you're supposed to be WWE NBA. But that's my thoughts on this subject. I could keep going. You tell me what you think. This has been Paul with Redneck Sports. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.
I want to thank you for watching my video. And if you like what you saw, like, subscribe, and comment. Y'all have a good day now.